What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you about Polestar. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what shorts are doing, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And with that said, let's get right to it. So right now, Polestar is down 1.15%. Very little volume, so 843,000 shares have been traded. 3.7 million is the average. So ever since their earnings on the 29th, it did have a very nice spike up. So consecutive back-to-back 20% plus days, but then of course without any news or nothing like that to match it or to at least propel it and continue the momentum, it is going to trend down. So big money still is not getting into Polestar, and one probable reason why is because during the earnings call they did state that next week, meaning this week, they were going to be submitting their earnings. And so far, with today being Friday, there has been no PR. So the last PR came out on February the 28th, and no SEC documents. So when it comes down to delays, the market is not forgiving. So is Polestar hiding something? I don't think so, but why are they delaying it? It just seems very odd to me. And plus as well, them not really giving full 2024 guidance as far as targets, I see that as a potential red flag. And I found this article very interesting. So ultimately it says, and it came out on the 5th on a side note, but it says Polestar CEO says rivals are falling into a trap by delaying EV plans. So interestingly enough, I guess it could be perceived the fact that Rivian and several other EVs aren't really expanding at the same rate that they once were, and plus didn't really give that good of 2024 guidance. They are falling into a trap. And by doing so, I guess Polestar is going to do so much better. I found this kind of ironic because the fact that Polestar didn't really give full guidance, like if they would have came out and said, yeah, we're going to produce 100,000 vehicles, then yes, this article completely makes sense. But if Polestar comes out and barely gives any good growth for 2024 estimates, then this kind of comes off as extremely stupid. So this was a bold move by Polestar, and hopefully it does pan out. We just have to wait and see as far as when they submit their numbers and their full guidance and everything like that. But going over some data points, shorts are presently increasing. 34.75 thousand shares, 10.24% of the free float is being shorted, 25.25 million shares overall are being shorted, and cost of borrow average is 91.34%. Based on my last video, I did say that if you kind of took out the word Polestar in the logo and just looking at the metrics, this is a squeeze play, just it needs a good catalyst, and I kind of explained that all in depth during my last video, so highly recommend you guys taking a look at that. But utilization is 96.42. Looking at options, $32,000 in calls being purchased versus 35 in puts. And sentiment wise though, 84% of all the options being done today are optimistic and bullish. So that's generally a very good sign. It hasn't been this bullish ever since the day of their earnings. So that could mean something potentially coming. But of the call options that are being purchased, there is a consensus for it to be above roughly $1.50. And if you kind of think of it that we're at $1.70, it doesn't really signal that much optimism, of course. So it might be shorts hedging potentially. Looking at puts though, it is anticipated for it to be sub $1.50. Based on the dollar value, you can clearly tell just Polestar isn't that popular with options, nor is it that popular with actual stock itself, so the common shares. So Polestar just kind of is there. It's very weird. And plus, on a side note, from a creator standpoint, it is very difficult to constantly cover Polestar. I recently did buy in based on the 28th news about all of this good stuff that did come out right here about them raising funding and Volvo staying in and many other things. So I did buy in at $1.58, I believe. So I'm at a pretty good profit, but a lot of people can't say the same thing, and Polestar has just been going down and down, and I do believe it actually stems from management. So management right now has been dropping the ball, because looking here at the PS ratio, I've brought this up time and time again because this is one of the most discounted EVs in the market, especially considering NIO recently has gone on a nice run after their earnings. So it was always Polestar and NIO very similarly discounted, but right now Polestar is a 1.3x for the PS ratio and a 0.9 for the future. So people have zero expectations on Polestar for the future. So hopefully they come out and surprise the world, because then this is where again you could get a nice little squeeze as a result, but I wouldn't really count on it in reality. big money just is not getting in. So these are some of the transactions that have occurred on the secondary market above $100,000. So the last big transaction did occur on the 4th. So it's not every day that big money is even looking at Polestar. And these are some of the transactions that have occurred so far in the dark pool. So dark pool is a little bit more popular. Of course, dark pool could be linked to shorting and just a lot of malicious activities, but still it is something to keep in mind. And looking right here, so like I mentioned, Polestar is kind of staring off of a virtual cliff. So with it right now at a $1.71, $1.70 the low, it is sitting on this S1. So $1.70 is a very strong support. If that does fail to hold, then $1.67, $1.61, very tight. So you won't see a lot of crazy price action over the next little bit. But on the technicals, I just wanted to quickly show you this. So looking on the Interactive Brokers, the new desktop version right here, just to get up some good old data points. So you can kind of see right here, it is sitting exactly on this transition point. So the market has wanted to propel Polestar lower, meaning transitioning from the higher to the lower percentile of the Bollinger Band. Luckily enough, this has been a very strong support and kind of has been Polestar's saving grace. But essentially, as I said, it is staring off a virtual cliff, because if this does fail to hold, then you will see it quickly go down to roughly the $1.45 range, and it is testing it as I speak right now. So definitely things aren't looking all that good for Polestar. Hopefully their earnings will be the saving grace. That's if it is even submitted today. And hopefully it's not submitted after hours, because any document submitted to the SEC after hours on a Friday is a very big red flag, massive red flag. So essentially as well, looking at stochastic RSI, you do see a bearish deviation, so orange line above the blue, and plus aside from that, it is at 60, so somewhat neutral in this territory. So it's not really considered overbought or oversold or anything. It is somewhat neutral, but still in reality, if it does break this support level, then it will kind of get back to this oversold status that Polestar has frequently been at for a very, very long time. So all in all, Polestar does have a lot of good opportunity. Just I feel like they're squandering it, and based on their earnings call, like they seem all over the place. They've never really seen that organized. So hopefully they do really change that, because there's a lot of institutions that still do increase. Latest round of 13Fs, you only see one coming down the pipeline that was submitted on the 29th, and that was Goldman Sachs that did sell a little bit of shares. And actually, I guess this asset management company, but they only have 5,000 shares. They didn't do anything as well. And just to quickly go over here, so the latest analyst ratings that have come down the pipeline, you only have that one. So that was done 3 days ago. Deutsche Bank, Emmanuel, who has a 36% success rating, so not the best, gave a $3 price target. But as a consensus, all analysts do feel that it should be around the $4.03 range. And as of right now, that does represent a 134.3% upside. So this company, as I've said time and time again, is a very discounted stock, but that hasn't really changed all that much. Ever since it was $6 in comparison to EVs, it was discounted. When it was at $5, at $4, at $3, even in fact when it was at $10 in comparison to a lot of the other EVs, it was still considered a discount. So Polestar has been lagging for 1 whole year, if not a little bit longer. So in order for something to change, like you can't just keep hitting a rock and assume something's going to change. I don't think that's the right phrase of words, but you guys again get what I'm saying, because essentially management does need to do something. They're kind of just assuming that people will want Polestars without really marketing it correctly, and they're really trying to target all the wrong areas. So they keep trying to go into China when there is so much competition, because I did listen into the NIO earnings call, and they even said that there is a immense amount of competition there. So Polestar, like, I don't understand why they're doing that, maybe because of the collaborations that they do have, but I feel like Polestar does need to really focus on the States, and possibly even further than that, just go back to Europe and kind of focus fully in there. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo. So even though Polestar does what it wants sometimes, you can get some free shares. So sign up for a new account with Moomoo and throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.